It's a lovely morning in the nation's capital city, Abuja, this Thursday morning. Welcome to the news at 10 on NTA News 24, reaching you live from Abuja. I am Musbat and Wahab.
And I'm Abdul Malik Adio. It's good to have you join us. Let's begin with the headlines.
Federal Executive Council approved 60 billion naira for more roads and bridges across the country.
The rehabilitation of the outstanding section of Iseyin-Okeho Road, including 2 bridges in Oyo State.
Senate debriefs Inspector General of Police on community policing.
Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, calls for moral health sensitization training in the workplace.
Plus, a new unique variety tomato has been released to complement food sufficiency in the country. But thanks for still staying with us. About 60 billion naira is to be expanded by the federal government towards enhancing the provision of road infrastructure and bridges in part of the country.
The nation's education sector also received a boost with the approval of nearly 10 billion naira for the enhancement of teaching and learning, as well as the security of the environment.
These were part of the resolutions of the Federal Executive Council presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has the details.
The Federal Executive Council meeting, which lasted over 8 hours, was the second in the year 2020. Provision of critical roads and bridges once again dominated discussions as the government sustained efforts at addressing the huge infrastructure deficit. Consequently, over 6.9 billion naira has been approved for the construction of Jalingo, Kona, Lau, Karim Lamido Road, Phase 2 in Taraba State, as well as 50.5 billion naira for the dualization of the outstanding portion of Adukani, Itu, Ikot Ekpene Road, linking Cross River and Akwa Ibom states.
In December last year, there was a report on social media regarding a bridge in Ajaokuta. The bridge was showing an opening at the expansion joint, which caused a lot of talk around the country. We took it up today.
And in that regard, the council approved over 1.5 billion naira towards addressing the situation.
It was just the time for maintaining the expansion joint. And it's a specialist work, which we deploy the contractors, and they are already working there. The third memo is the rehabilitation of the outstanding section of Iseyin-Okeho Road, including 2 bridges in Oyo State, in the sum of 6,875 million.
Education Minister Adamu on his part secured the council's approval for the procurement of textbooks for early childhood care and development for primaries 1 to 3 across the country at 6.4 billion naira.
Second memo is for the construction of a 23.7 kilometer perimeter fence around the University of Maiduguri, and it will do so at the amount of 1,398,250,000 for naira 27 kobo.
1.08 billion naira is also to be spent on the procurement and installation of security equipment around the fence. Meanwhile, during the meeting, ministers of Niger Delta Affairs and the FCT were put to task on the deliverables of their next-level mandate areas in the first 100 days.
The moment we are at the verge of concluding the due process to commence the forensic audit of the Niger Delta Development Commission. At the end of the exercise, the federal government hopes to have a bankable NDDC where the balance sheet could go to the bank and be accepted, and could bring value in terms of industrialization to the region. And at the same time, we also hope to complete the over 9,000 projects that are lying fallow at the moment in the Niger Delta region for the benefit of the people. That will not only add value to the system, but will also ensure that the post-amnesty era will bring about industrialization and also create job opportunities for the people.
We are able to shed more light on the assignment of creation of 5,000 affordable housing units to the Federal Capital Territory. This has gone a long way already because we have ensured, we have deliberated, we have profiled investors already, and we have been able to secure land and made provision of adequate land for the provision of these 5,000 housing units. Also in compliance with Mr. President's provision of 100 million jobs for Nigerian citizens. We are also looking at an area of tourism and recreation within the Federal Capital Territory. This takes us to the beautiful Jabi Lake.
Efforts at enhancing education, healthcare delivery, and environmental sanitation in the FCT were also brought to the fore. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Now, for any facility to remain useful and achieve the purpose it was meant for, there is need for regular maintenance.
Of course, that it's in this light that governments at all levels are expected to carry out periodic maintenance of public structures, including roads. Clement Barukui in this report takes a look at road maintenance in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State.
Every road is constructed to last for a specific lifespan, and at the expiration, it is pertinent to carry out maintenance of the road. Lack of regular maintenance is therefore responsible for many failed roads across parts of the country. In Akwa Ibom State, for instance, government is not paying lip service to the issue of road maintenance.
Anybody in this environment, if you live here, you know how it used to be when it rains. And with the amendment so far, you can see the free flow of traffic.
Without good road in the city like Uyo, we cannot enjoy.
It's a very nice work. I commend the government and everything they are doing.
Already, the state government is catching in on the dry season to realign major roads and streets within the capital city, while others that were hitherto impassable due to potholes are now wearing new looks.
Governor Domi Banduel, in my estimation, not as a condition, but as a son of this town, has invested so much in road infrastructure. Governor Domi identified the problem and began a machinery that every road constructed in this state must have side drains.
No doubt, if road maintenance culture is effectively imbibed by government at all levels, Nigeria will boast of good road network. In any case, maintenance is cost-effective, consumes less time, and promotes business activities. In Uyo, Clement Barukui, NTA News.
Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed says the proposed federal government loan of $22.8 billion will provide the much-needed impetus to deliver on the nation's infrastructure development.
The minister was speaking at the public hearing by the Senate Committee on Local and Foreign Debts on the matter. National Assembly correspondent Vivian Idekwefo reports.
The Federal Ministry of Information and Culture is seeking $500 million out of the $22.8 billion federal government proposed loan for critical infrastructure to meet the next ITU deadline. $245 million is earmarked for the establishment of a media and culture center, while the digitization of all NTA network centers will be done at the proposed cost of $11 million under this arrangement.
This $500 million we're asking for is actually to improve our creative industry. The ITU 2006 gave a deadline of June 17, 2015 for all members of the organization to migrate from analog to digital.
The minister explained that the federal government is disposed to this loan because of its inherent advantages as against commercial loans.
Business model proposed for this initiative would only succeed with a concessional loan and not commercial ones due to the low interest rates and long repayment period. The choice of concessional loan is also due to the fact that its terms are much more favorable to the project at hand.
He also spoke on the advantages that the loan and the projects to be executed with it confer on Nigeria.
When this project is approved, then there will be more visibility for our people in the music industry, in the fashion industry, in the film industry. If we don't migrate from analog to digital, then it means that in a few years' time, it will not be possible for you to even see NTA anywhere. That's why it's very crucial. And when you look at the number of stations NTA has, compared to other private stations, you find that 70% of Nigerians rely on NTA for their news, especially those in rural areas. This is why this project is very, very crucial to us. It's about job creation, it's about employment, and it's about revenue generation for the nation.
From the National Assembly, Vivian Idekbefo, NTA News.
Still at the National Assembly, they reconvened after its end of a year recess. The legislators have spent most of their time considering security issues, which culminated in the invitation of the Inspector General of Police last week. The visit of the police boss to the Senate chamber at Wednesday's plenary is part of consultations by the Senate towards supporting community policing. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo reports.
Shortly after the Senate reconvened for Wednesday's plenary, it dissolved into a closed-door session, the second for the week. This followed a motion by the leader of the Senate, Abdullahi Yahaya, for the Senate to usher in the Inspector General of Police into the chamber and to go into an executive session with the police boss, as it is the practice when meeting security chiefs. 4 hours later, the closed-door session ends.
General of Police, IGP, on security challenges in the country and the concept and practical implementation and modalities of community policing policy. Thereafter, he answered questions bordering on national security challenges. The Senate thereafter resolved to support the Nigerian police through legislative interventions. The police force was further encouraged to be more proactive operationally to protect the lives and properties of our citizens.
The concept is to give policing back to the community, let the community take the initiative in identifying the problems that are there that can lead to the commission of crime, and then we'll work with the community to solve the crime.
The communal clash that took place in Basa local government area of Kogi State between 2016 and 2019 came to the fore as Senate urged the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management to assist in the rehabilitation of internally displaced persons in the area, as moved by Senator Issa Jibrin.
We regret that the number of out-of-school children in the affected communities is disheartening, and this poses a serious danger to the future of the children, the communities, and the nation in general.
Well, shortly after the Inspector General of Police left the chamber, the Senate confirmed the appointment of the chairman and members of the National Assembly Service Commission. The nominee from Imo State, Nnamdi Anyehe, is to be replaced by another person. It also confirmed the appointment of Professor Adeolu Akonde as chairman of the Nigerian Communications Commission and Uche Omude as member. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Ignatius, thanks a lot for that update. Now, let's get the latest on the security issue from Kaduna State, as the force PRO, DCP Frank Uba, sheds more light on the special operations to flush out criminals in Kuduru Forest in Birnin Gwari, Kaduna State.
Indeed, there was a shootout. It was a massive operation. It was an offensive operation, a very audacious, bold, and courageous one, because that camp is one of the largest criminal camp being run by the Ansaru terror group. and housing other very dangerous criminal elements, including bandits, gun runners, as well as kidnappers. They also shot at one of the police helicopters that was providing aerial surveillance as well as area cover for the ground troops.
How's the pilot now? Is he
The
okay?
pilot sustained injury. Both the pilot and the co-pilots, both of them superintendents of police, very gallant and very professionally minded officers. They sustained injuries, but the beautiful thing is that they showed enormous courage, they showed enormous skill. They successfully and safely navigated the aircraft to a safe landing in Nigerian Air Force facility in Kaduna. They were also eventually evacuated, and currently they are being treated. They are in stable condition. These operations are being carried out simultaneously in other parts of the country. As I speak to you, this night, 30 more kidnapped victims were successfully rescued in Katsina, bringing it to a total of 56 persons that were rescued in the past 24 hours.
Many thanks there. That's the first PRO talking about the special operations of Puff Adder of the Nigerian Police Force that backed the Special Forces and Police Air Wing in an offensive operation this morning. And moving on and away from security matters, upon resumption of plenary in 2020, the first national issue of discourse on the floor of the House of Representatives was security, and House members are calling for more synergy in effort to tackle security breaches in part of the country.
As a follow-up on this, the House invited service chiefs for a meeting. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports that the meeting was held behind closed doors.
And security chiefs to discuss the security situation in the country. The first meeting was held on the 23rd of September 2019. The meeting had the service chiefs in attendance, with Minister of Defense and Chief of Defense Staff represented. House Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila says the meeting is in response to concerns raised by constituents on the dimensions of security breaches in parts of Nigeria.
My opening remarks on the floor of the House when we came in on Tuesday, was to commend you guys, and particularly the ones that are on the front lines, sacrificing their lives every day, our men and women in uniform. There's funding, there's equipment, there's recruitment of personnel, but I'm sure there are other things that would not be said, in full view of the cameras.
Chairman House Committee on Defense Babajimi Benson briefed the media at the end of the meeting, which lasted several hours.
They raised a lot of issues that we must all sit down as Nigerians to discuss. One of it I can mention is there's probably an international dimension to what we see. There's ISIS, there's ISWAP. So those are things that we need to discuss in a very, very classified manner.
House plenary on Wednesday also went into closed door, at the end of which sitting was adjourned to Thursday as all items on the order paper were suspended. In the meantime, the House Ad Hoc Committee investigating alleged non-remittance of unspent budgeted funds says its engagement with security agencies will be held behind closed doors. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
This is the news at 10, reaching you live from Abuja, the nation's capital, on NTA News 24. Ahead of the news.
National Directorate of Employment NDE disburses 10,000 naira non-interest business loans to over 7,000 women and youth in Rivers State. Stay with us. More after now.
Many thanks for staying tuned. Now, the World Powerlifting World Cup has entered its third day in Abuja, the nation's capital. Our sports correspondent, Tamara Ebiwe, is standing by live right now at the International Conference Center to give us an update on the activities for the day. Hello, Tamara. How are you doing?
Glad to see you all this beautiful morning. Well, the atmosphere at the International Conference Center is calm because the athletes are already here preparing for today's event, which will get underway at exactly 10:30 a.m. As I speak, some of the athletes are already behind doing their weigh-in in their various weight categories. But just to take you back to the medal table, Nigeria is currently leading the senior category with 8 medals, while in the junior category, Nigeria leads with 13 medals. Well, the prospect is really high for today because we are expecting more medals to come in. And also, Team Nigeria set 2 African and world records, both in the junior and senior categories of the World Powerlifting Cup that is ongoing here at the International Conference Center. Well, joining me is the technical director of the Powerlifting Federation of Nigeria, Joy Mayaki. Glad to have you here.
Good morning. Thank you.
Now,
I'm glad to be here.
Team Nigeria has been wonderful in this competition.
Thank you.
We are expecting to have more gold medals today. But let me ask, is there any country at the moment posing a challenge for Team Nigeria?
Team Nigeria has always been one of the best in powerlifting in the country. And we had a hitch quite recently where in Kazakhstan the male didn't win any medal. And that was why we kick off as a board to put a lot of machinery in place, including overhauling the technical department, especially coaches, and all other aspects we felt is becoming outdated, and things are now being done very, very usual. And now we have seen that that has paid off, and we are doing well. And as we are today, we don't have rival in this competition at all.
All right, this World Cup is also pathway to Tokyo 2020 Paralympic Games, and 14 Paralympians have already qualified for the Tokyo Paralympics, with one more hurdle left, talking about the championships that will be held in Dubai. Now, hosting this World Cup, many people think that it is a platform for Nigeria to have more athletes qualify. But considering the fact that most of the athletes have already qualified, what other benefits did this World Cup bring to Nigeria?
Well, it is a testing ground again to test our athletes. This is 2020. To also know that we are still on course, and it is also important for the powerlifting organization, the total body, to make sure that those that are already in the pathway are consistently on this pathway. And this championship has just proven to the 14 we have on ground that they are on the pathway, and so it is an advantage for us that they have to do this, test themselves over one of the best in the world, and at the same time also show that we that are going to Tokyo, we are still consistently on the course.
Of course, like you heard, Team Nigeria Paralympians are consistently on the course, and this World Cup competition is not going to be different. You can join us at the International Conference Center to see these Paralympians make Nigeria proud.
Tamara, anyway, thank you very much for that input there. We appreciate your contribution. Now let's move on as we talk about the preparation for the Tokyo 2020 Paralympic Games have begun in Nigeria's capital city, Abuja, hosting some of the world's strongest powerlifters. And it's the first time Nigeria is hosting the World Cup as the games are in its first qualification process. Powerlifting gold medalist 41 kg category Esther Nwogu. While speaking on NTA News 24 current affairs program, Nigeria Today expressed excitement to be part of this year's competition while promising to make Nigeria proud in the upcoming Tokyo 2020 Paralympic Games.
They've been there and they've been
doing it, they've been making us proud. And I strongly believe that this time will not be different. This time will not be different. So I have that faith that Nigeria will still maintain their position come this 2020 Olympics.
Also speaking, para-powerlifting gold medalist 45 kg category, Loveth Adokin urged the para-powerlifting bodies to embark on more campaigns to create more awareness about the aspect of sport to enable it get more popularity like football.
This comes in discrimination because look at the past record. Para-powerlifting, they have break so many world records, set world records. It's like their efforts will not be appreciated. You understand? Unlike the footballers.
Yeah. Nigeria Today is live every weekday on NTA News 24.
As well, very nice one on sports right there.
All right, it's a good one for the ladies and guys in that powerlifting.
Right.
They are usually the one bringing us the laurels.
All right, moving on and away from sports now, the United States has announced a $40 million additional support for humanitarian intervention in the Northeast.
U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo made this known during an interaction with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Jeffrey Onyema, who paid him a visit.
As Usman Aliyu reports that the U.S. Secretary of State says the Trump's administration believes in the effort of the Buhari presidency in making Nigeria great.
Striking a diplomatic tone, the talks between U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and Nigeria's Foreign Affairs Minister Jeffrey Onyema is said to be gratifying.
I'm pleased to announce today an additional $40 million in humanitarian assistance to Nigeria, adding to the nearly $350 million that we provided last year.
Nigeria, being the second largest America's trading partner in Africa, addresses U.S. concerns to keep the economic and security ties more stronger.
We also want to export a lot more, developing our manufacturing and industrial base. And of course, the U.S. market is a very attractive market for us.
The United States and Nigeria voiced hope that the visa rule would soon be over, just as Secretary Pompeo explained that the action on Nigeria was out of the terrorism threat, but acknowledged prompt response by President Buhari, which put in place a system that will make data from Nigerian passport readily available to the Interpol and global law enforcement body.
I'm optimistic that's going to happen. In the proclamation, President Trump highlighted Nigeria's importance as a strategic partner in the global fight against terrorism and recognized the government's commitment to improving information sharing with us.
And we thank again the United States for it. The sums of money that was restituted to Nigeria with the bailiwick, it's called, of Jersey and the United States, $321 million. We appreciate the effort in and steps that have been taken in, accessing these stolen funds.
The turn to support Nigeria explains that the United States Imperial Authority believes in the Buhari's administration legacy tripod on security, economy, and fighting corruption. In Washington, D.C., Usman Aliyu, NTA News.
Now, the SDG Goal 5 has placed gender equality and women's empowerment at the heart of its effort in accelerating the process towards the SDGs. Regrettably, while some indicators of gender equality are progressing, such factors as female genital mutilation continues to be worrisome. In this special report, Basi Ipang examines the reasons behind female genital mutilation in Nigeria.
It is said that he who wears the shoe knows where it pinches. Who else could tell the story of female genital mutilation than the woman who has gone through the process? 45-year-old Christy had her genital part cut by her mother at the early years of her life. She has 3 daughters and out of ignorance also subjected her first daughter to the same practice just to fulfill cultural demands.
And the belief in my tradition then is that if a woman is not done, that she will be loosed. And they also believe that giving birth will be difficult. So it was done.
Christy is not alone. Lola here shares her own experience.
The reason behind it is patriarchy, as in the men want to control the sexuality of the women. Because why are you saying if you don't cut a woman, she'll be promiscuous? It doesn't make any sense.
There is a belief in some quarters that the practice of female genital mutilation is to reduce a woman's libido. But does this really work?
But we found out around, we've asked, we've done the research, we've asked people we've asked survivors. Survivors have been there to speak to people that, no, that is not, it does not have any benefits.
Especially as it's been done in some of the remote areas, villages, it's a terrible practice that we're actually hoping that government will develop proper policies towards a total, not just, preventing it, but stopping it.
Although female genital mutilation has been in practice for more than 1,000 years, but there are reasons to think that it could end in a single generation. That is why the United Nations strives for its full eradication by 2030. In the spirit of Sustainable Development Goal 5. Basi Taipang, NTA News.
All right, thanks a lot, Basi. Moving on, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, has directed ministries, departments and agencies of governments at all levels, including workplaces in the private sector, to sensitize staff on issues of public health concerns such as the coronavirus and Lassa fever.
This was part of a one-day sensitization program on the health issues organized by staff of the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Mitaire Ipen reports that the SGF was represented at the event.
As far as Tofumi Yinka Balogun, a staff of the SGF's office, is concerned, the social media has been active with rumors about the coronavirus, making it difficult to separate facts from fiction.
It was conflicting information. Some people were saying that it had come to maybe somewhere in Lekki, in Lagos, and different things like that. It was all over the place. And also there were some kinds of conspiracy theories that they were using these as biological weapons to actually get to the US and Nigeria and things like that. It was a little scary because you were getting information from here, information from there. You don't know which one is actually true.
I did not know much about this very, coronavirus and the Lassa fever.
It is to dispel such fears or ignorance that the SGF's office organized this sensitization program for staff to keep them abreast with precautionary measures against Lassa fever, such as personal hygiene, and the need to guard against the importation of the coronavirus. Officials of the Nigeria Center for Disease Control indicated that response centers have been established with medical personnel placed on alert.
We have the capacity to test the coronavirus in Nigeria. So that is set up the National Reference Laboratory in Gadua. So we have the capacity to test, and we are working to scale to others, especially Lagos, so that Lagos can also test.
The Secretary to Government, as well as the Head of Service, have put heads together to ensure that workplace policies are put in place to create awareness and to help the workers know what to do to prevent. And if they see any signs that feel like the symptoms that they have learnt about, they know who to call and what type of education to transmit.
The coronavirus, which originated from the city of Wuhan in China, has so far killed close to 500 people globally, with more than 24,000 infected worldwide. The Nigerian government is on its toes to prevent its importation into the country. That is why such sensitization on the virus, as well as other issues of public health concern, is imperative for emulation and replication among the citizenry. In Abuja, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
Human capital development has been said to focus on the improvement of life and living patterns of humans, away from the assumption that economic growth means well-being for all. Now let's get details of this and more with Kolo Mohammed on Business News.
Good to have you along. Human capital development has been defined as expanding the richness of human life and living patterns. Away from advancing the richness of the economy in which human beings live, this approach focuses on the lives people live rather than assuming that economic growth will lead automatically to greater well-being for all.
That goes to the federal government right now. And I know that the current administration are doing quite a lot to ensure that the youths of Nigeria are taken out of the streets. The agricultural sector, of course, you should see that is working at the moment. And this is what I can tell you President Muhammad Buhari has achieved. You know, there are shared prosperity models of different sort of farmings, SME schemes that has been deployed. Little low-end farmers are receiving funding from the federal government direct to invest in low-scale farming, and all of these are ongoing, you know, and then as well the youths who are willing. They are not all the youths who are willing to do stuff, but I can tell you that a total number of youths in Nigeria have benefited from the, you know, agricultural program of the federal government.
The federal government of Nigeria's social investment and inclusive programs have attained commendable statuses as many people have been pulled out of abject poverty. Let's now let you see where Wednesday's activities on the floor of the Nigerian stock market place market indices. Just so you know, it depreciated by 1.9%. My name is Kula Muhammad. Good to have you along. Beauty again soon.
Many thanks, Kolo Mohammed. Now, efforts are ongoing at the Abule Osun bus station in Ward Ojo Barracks in Lagos by the emergency responders to contain the fire explosion by a tanker laden with 11,000 litres of diesel. An eyewitness account says the rear spring of the tanker broke while on high speed, leading to the explosion. No mortality or injury has been recorded so far. Traffic abatement measures are being carried out by responders.
I will bring you details of that report in our subsequent bulletin. Moving on, Jigawa State Police Command is advising members of the Nigerian public to be cautious of the circulation of fake Naira notes being circulated by some criminal elements, especially at major markets in the state. Now, we have to host Vanessa at this point to enable us join a live telecast coming up in Abuja.